The top 5 most valuable Washington quarter dollars ever discovered, including ultra-rare errors and high-grade collectors' dreams. These coins aren't just spare change, they're hidden treasures that could change your life. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious, you won't want to miss these shocking coin values. Stick around to find out which quarter could make you rich. Let's dive into the world of valuable Washington quarters. What if I told you that a seemingly ordinary 1981 Washington quarter, yes, one that could be sitting in your change jar right now, could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even over $1 million? Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay tuned, because in today's video, we're going to uncover the hidden treasures of the 1981 Washington quarter dollar, the kind of coins that have shocked collectors, stunned appraisers, and made everyday people rich overnight. The historical of the 1981 Washington quarter. The 1981 Washington quarter may appear modest at first glance, but its story begins nearly 50 years earlier, in 1932, when the Washington Quarter series was first introduced to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin was never intended to become a long-running series, but its popularity and design longevity kept it going for decades. The 1981 Washington Quarter errors, wrong planchet error, value. Planchet sold at auction for over $6,000. Struck on foreign planchets, some have reached $15,000 to $25,000 at major auction. Double die obverse DDO, value. Examples have sold for up to $2,500 or more, especially in MS66 and MS67 condition. Off-center strikes, value, 10 to 20% off-center, $100 to $250. 50% off-center with full date and mint mark, $1,000 plus. 60 to 80% off-center, up to $5,000, missing clad layer, value. These errors can fetch anywhere from $250 to over $2,000, depending on the condition and extent of the missing layer. Broad-struck errors, value, common broad-struck 1981 quarters, $100 to $400. High-grade and dramatic examples, $1,000 plus. Strike-through errors, value, $50 to $200. Rare objects or dramatic impressions, $1,500 to $3,000. Auction sales record, 1981 quarter broadstruck plus MS66, sold for $1,920 at Stack's Bowers. 1981 double die obverse, DDO, plus MS65, sold for $2,750. 1981 quarter struck on dime planchet, MS62, sold for $6,325. 1981 quarter MS67, no error, private sale rumored at $10,000 plus. 1981 quarter with missing clad layer plus MS64, sold for $2,150. How to identify 1981 Washington quarter dollar, diameter, 24.30 millimeters, weight, 5.67 g, edge, 119 reads, readed. Composition, outer layers, 75% copper/25% nickel. Core, 100% copper. Use calipers and a precision scale to confirm. Significant deviations can signal an error planchet. Check for crispness, where will soften high points like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Spot common error varieties, off-center strike, partially missing design, blank crescent on one side. Double die. Look for doubled letters, missing or partial cladding, exposed reddish-brown copper core on one side. Wrong planchet. Coin feels too light/heavy or has an odd color, e.g. dime-sized. Today, we're diving deep into the astonishing story of one of the most mysterious and valuable error coins ever minted in American history, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar error coin. The birth of the Washington quarter. Although the Philadelphia Mint long struck quarters with no mint mark, beginning in 1980 it added a small P on the obverse ribbon, making the 1982 P among the early P-marked Washington quarters. Composition and production in 1982, still clad, 75% copper, 25% nickel, and weighing 5.67 g, 1982 production was pushed hard to meet circulation demand, leading to a surge in minting anomalies. 1982 P error types, off-center strikes, value, minor offsets, 5 to 10%, $10, $50, dramatic offsets, 20 to 50%, $200, $3,000 plus. Strike-through grease fibers metal, value range, small grease spots, $50, $200, large, dramatic gouges, up to $1,000 plus. Doubled die obverse DDO, value subtle doubling, $100, $500, obvious doubling, $1, $500, $5,000 plus. Clipped planchet and broad strike, value clipped planchets, $100, $400, broad strikes, $150, $600. Die cracks and cuds, value fine die cracks, $25, $75, heavy die crack/cud varieties, $200, $1, $500 plus. Auction records and real value. Now let's talk about money, the kind of money these coins have fetched. Real-world auction examples. A 1982 P quarter with a deep die clash error sold for $6,900 in a private sale in 2022. An MS-67 strike-through grease error graded by PCGS went for $3,850 at Heritage Auctions. A near-perfect MS-68 example with multiple die cracks was auctioned for over $10,000. Why prices keep climbing? The U.S. coin market is experiencing a massive surge in interest thanks to viral videos, social media, and booming online auctions. More collectors are entering the market than ever before, increasing competition and prices, especially for low mintage or error coins. Experts believe a 1982 P quarter featuring a dramatic error, combined with a perfect or near-perfect grade, MS-68 Plus, could someday breach the $100,000 or even $1 million mark, especially if a unique variety is discovered. How to identify valuable 1982 P quarters. Here's how to tell if your 1982 P quarter is worth big bucks. Look for the mint mark. Ensure it has the P mint mark, a small letter near Washington's ponytail. Inspect for errors. Use a magnifier or loupe. Check for doubling in the letters and date. Weak or missing details. Off-center strikes, die cracks or cuds, strike-throughs, grease, string, etc. Missing FG initials. Weigh the coin. A standard clad quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs more or less significantly, it could be a planchet error or struck on a wrong blank, boosting its value immensely. Grade it professionally. Once you suspect a rare error, submit it to PCGS or NGC for grading. Coins graded MS-65 and above command exponentially higher prices. The 1983 P Washington quarter might just be the golden ticket sitting in your coin jar right now. Buried among pocket change and forgotten drawers lies a piece of American numismatic history that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and rewritten the rulebook on rare coins. The birth of the 1983 P Washington quarter. The Washington quarter had been circulating since 1932, designed to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. But by 1983, something was changing. The U.S. Mint had been dealing with increasing production demands, rising material costs, and, most importantly, a complete halt in mint sets from 1982 and 1983. Error in 1983 P quarters, clash dies, coin dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost images on the coins. Double dies, a misalignment during hubbing results in letters or numbers appearing doubled. Off-center strikes, coins are struck misaligned, partially missing design elements. Struck on wrong planchet, a quarter struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, like a nickel or a cent. Real auction sales. Let's look at the real-world auction prices that turned heads in the numismatic community. Notable auction sales. 1983 P quarter missing clad layer, reverse only. Sold for $5,875 at Heritage Auctions. Grade, NGC MS-65. Visual, show coin with copper-toned reverse. 1983 P quarter on a penny planchet. Estimated value, $10,000 to $15,000. Copper-toned, weighs only 3.1 g, much lighter than normal quarter. 1983 P quarter broad struck with off-center strike. Sold for $3,000 plus depending on severity and grade. 1983 P quarter struck on dime planchet. Valued between $7,500 and $12,000. But the ultimate dream? If a collector or dealer ever uncovers a 1983 P double denomination strike in pristine condition, such as a quarter struck over a struck dime, the price could break into the six-figure range. Some estimate it might go for $250,000 to over $1 million at auction. How to identify a rare 1983 P era quarter? So now the million-dollar question. How can you tell if your 1983 P quarter is a jackpot? Checklist for spotting a rare 1983 P error quarter. Look for a missing clad layer. A copper-colored coin on one or both sides. Weighs 4.67 g instead of 5.67 g, standard. Check for double dies. Look closely at Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. Use a loop or macro lens. Doubling will be clear and sharp. Check for broad strikes or off-center errors. Is the coin's rim missing or partially missing? Design pushed toward one side. Weigh the coin. Weights outside the normal 5.67 g could indicate a wrong planchet. That seemingly ordinary 1984 P Washington quarter you almost tossed in a vending machine could be worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but potentially over $10,000 or more. Yes, you heard that right. Some of these coins have fetched jaw-dropping amounts at auctions. One in particular made headlines with a value soaring past 5 figures, thanks to an elusive and rare error that makes it a collector's dream. The 1984 P Washington quarter, the year 1984, Ronald Reagan was president, the Summer Olympics dazzled the world in Los Angeles, and Prince's Purple Rain was storming the charts. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, millions of Washington quarters were rolling out of the U.S. Mint. But what sets the 1984 P quarter apart? The Philadelphia Mint struck a massive 676,545,000 Washington quarters that year. These coins bore the traditional design, the rare error coins of 1984 P Washington quarter dollar, the double die DDO value. Circulated but noticeable DDOs, $300 to $800. Uncirculated examples, $1,000 to $3,000 plus. Graded MS65 plus DDOs, up to $6,000 or more at auction. Off-center strikes. Value. Minor off-center, 5 to 10% $50 to $100. Moderate off-center, 20 to 30% $150 to $400. Major off-center, 50% plus with visible date $500 to $2,000. Clipped planchets. Value, $75 to $500, depending on size and visibility of the clip. Wrong planchet errors. Value. Quarter on dime planchet, $1,500 to $4,000. Quarter on foreign planchet, $3,000 to $10,000 plus. Full strike full luster coins, value of MS67 plus 1984, P quarters, MS67, $800 to $1,500. MS68, nearly impossible $4,000 to $7,000 plus. Sales auction prices. Let's break down some real-world auction examples that prove how valuable the 1984 P quarter can be. DDO Discovery coin, sold for $6,462. A PCGS graded MS66 1984 P double die obverse quarter shocked the community when it sold for $6,462. Only a handful have ever been found in such pristine condition. Off-center quarter, sold for $1,100. A 1984 P with a 40% off-center strike and full date visible brought in $1,100. Collectors love these dramatic errors, especially when well preserved. Quarter on dime planchet, sold for $3,000 plus. This coin was struck on a 10-cent planchet, meaning it was smaller, silver in color, and had reading that didn't match. PCGS certified it as a mint error, and it fetched a premium of over $3,000 at heritage auctions. How to identify a rare 1984 P quarter. You don't need fancy tools, just your eyes, a magnifying glass, and patience. What to look for: clear doubling in the lettering, especially Liberty and motto. Misalignment in the rim or date area. Strange metal appearance, wrong planchet. Off-center or clipped edge. Unusual weight, use a coin scale. Normal is 5.67 grams. Optional tools, 10x, 30x magnifying loop. Coin scale. Digital caliper. PCGS/NGC pop report, for comparing grading frequency. What if I told you that a simple pocket change, a 1991 P Washington quarter, could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even up to $1 million? You might laugh and think, come on, it's just a quarter. But hold that thought. Because buried among the ordinary coins jingling in purses, drawers, and vending machines across America, are hidden treasures few collectors even know exist. The history of the 1991 P Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, originally introduced to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse has remained largely unchanged over the decades, with Washington's stoic profile anchoring the design. In 1991, the U.S. Mint continued production of the quarter with 3 key mint locations: valuable 1991 P-era coins, off-center strikes. Value can reach $500 to $1,200 or more. Double die obverse DDO, value, minor DDOs can sell for $50 to $300. Strong DDOs, those can skyrocket to $1,500 to $5,000. Clipped planchet, value, to $200 to $750, depending on severity and eye appeal. Broad strike error, value, a 1991 P broad strike can fetch $250 to $1,000, especially in mint state. Wrong planchet strike, value, a 1991 P quarter struck on a nickel planchet sold for $4,800. A 1991 P quarter struck on a cent planchet, copper, was estimated at over $10,000. Missing clad layer, value, a 1991 P quarter with a missing clad layer on obverse or reverse in high grade can bring $1,000 to $3,000. Auction records for 1991 P Washington quarter. MS-67, NGC sold for $184 on eBay in February 2018. PCGS. MS-67 Plus, NGC auctioned at Great Collections in August 2023, the winning bid amount is not publicly disclosed. Great Collections plus 2 Great Collections plus 2 Great Collections plus 2. MS-67, NGC another example sold at Great Collections in October 2021, the final bid amount is not publicly available. Great Collections. MS-63, PCGS sold for $8 at Great Collections in July 2022. Great Collections. Value estimates by grade. According to APMEX, estimated values for the 1991 P Washington quarter are MS-67, approximately $260. MS-66, around $43. MS-65, approximately $5. MS-64 and below, typically valued at $2 or less APMEX. These values can vary based on market demand and coin quality.